Our people online. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tyler Hooksett. I'm the president of the Hooksett Chamber of Commerce. We are a nonprofit here in Hooksett, fully supported by our members and constituents, up to 50 members so far. So if you aren't a member and you're here, welcome. All of our events are free of charge except for our annual meeting. We host educational events, we host networking events, we also do some community projects. So if you're not a member, but you're interested in becoming a member, please check out our website, thechamber.org. We've got details on how to sign up on there. But if you have any questions, feel free to talk with me, talk with Don, talk with Christina, who's also a board member and our presenter here today. So thank you all for attending. Again, we like to host educational events at least every 2 months, and today is a very important topic. So our event today is how end users can protect their personal and business data from Christina Sayer McCullough. And your private data is not as safe as you think. The reality is, if you're not using the proper precautionary tools, the question is no longer if you'll be attacked, rather than when. Christina Sayer from Summit IT Services will discuss the basic things all individuals should utilize to keep their assets safe from cyber criminals. So without further ado, I'll let Christina take it away.
Hi guys, thank you for the introduction. My name is Christina Sayer. I work with Summit IT Services. We're a local IT service provider based out of Weare, New Hampshire. And today I'm here to discuss how end users can protect their personal and business data. This is important because if you're not protected, like Tyler said, the question is not what if you'll get hacked, it's rather when you'll get hacked. So before I start, I just want to give a little bit about me, just so you know, I'm not just some random person talking about IT stuff so my name is Christina Sayer. It's actually Christina McCullough. I was just recently married, but professionally I go by Christina Sayer. I am the marketing and sales manager for Summit IT Services, a local IT service out of Weare. And I like to call myself an animal lover. These are my guinea pigs, Ham and Otis, and this is Beast. He's a little tiny chihuahua, and obviously he is a beast. Funny thing is that I'm actually allergic to all these animals, but I still live with them. I actually get hives when I pick up my guinea pigs. That's how much I love my animals. I'm also a nature lover. In the winter, I love snowboarding.
So it's pretty crazy. Like, obviously we're talking about some of these huge companies, but from a small company or a personal perspective, the criminals know that you don't have the same protections. You don't have the cybersecurity teams. You don't have those same controls in place, and it can really put yourself, you just become an easier target. So hopefully I stalled for long enough for Christina to get back online. We lost our internet on here, Barry, so we are back online.
Great, thank you.
Sweet. Sorry about that, Barry.
No worries.
We're recording again?
Yes, that is Barry Kogan. I know it is recording. I think it's recording on your phone now, so.
Sorry to interrupt you, Christina.
No, you're fine. I appreciate it. Thanks for doing that. All right, so we're doing a quick Q&A afterwards. Sorry about the technical difficulties. So who and what is Summit IT Services? We're New Hampshire's leading IT service and support manager since 2004. We've been around for 19 years. It was originated through Jeff Jackson. He's the owner and CEO and still works here to this day. Our technicians are masterminds. We have 2 senior systems engineer and a few extra help desk support people, but they are phenomenal. Like I said, a combined knowledge of over 100 years of experience. That is crazy cool. We often like to say optimizing business technology equals increased profitability. And we say that because when your technology is working the way it's supposed to, when it's working the way that you work and you're not waiting on it, there's no telling how fast you can grow. We had a company, a dental company, actually, they're massive. I think it's 3 sites, and they were having so many issues with their other IT service provider. They were down constantly. They were on the phone with IT support all the time. And we went in, changed up their network, found the flaws in their systems, and changed them to where they work without issues. They're actually growing into their 3rd office. And we're actually helping them, holding them through the process of implementing their technology. But like I said, I mean, they went from 1 office to 2 offices to 3 offices as soon as we joined their team. I think that's a phenomenal, case study at that point. So I just want to go over a few points of. So what is a cyber attack? Do any of you know what a cyber attack? I know Tyler just kind of talked about some, but
There's a few different types, right?
there is a few types, but this is like just a overall explanation of what a cyber hack is, or a cyber attack. There's like data breaches and whatnot. Well, the meaning of a cyber attack is an attempt to disable computers, steal data, and use that to breach computer systems to launch additional attacks. Meaning that cyber attacks have all purpose to cause harm, whether it's being disrupted, disabling, or destroying or maliciously controlling computing systems, environments, and infrastructure, or destroying the integrity of data, of stealing controlled information. So it's just basically taking all your information and putting it out in the black web, or asking for money. It's an attack on your business or personal life. Just to go over a few statistics of it, there was 1,001 reported data breaches, and this is just reported, so keep that in mind, in the United States alone, with over 310 million individuals affected, meaning that, your company might be breached, but what about your employees? What about the people using your company, the softwares that you're implementing? One of these businesses were actually T-Mobile. T-Mobile had such a hack that it affects all of their clients as well, and they had millions and millions of dollars in payout. I have a statistic about that later just to go over. And the average cost of a data breach in the United States is $3.86 million. That's a lot of money for a small company. If you get hacked, your information is stolen, you're out of business practically. And then 95% of data breaches are actually caused by human error, such as weak passwords, phishing attacks, or lost and stolen devices. The top 3 causes of data breaches were compromised credentials, so end users' passwords, or just passwords that are shared amongst a company, cloud misconfiguration, so systems, and phishing attacks. So 95% of those were the compromised credentials and phishing attacks. 43 cyber attacks are aimed at smaller businesses. So of those 1,001 businesses up there that were hacked, almost 50% of them were smaller businesses. And the majority of those businesses are actually out of business now because it tarnished their reputation, they lost their money. And I know, our money businesses don't have enough funds to cover, and that's why we use cyber liability insurance. The average time to actually identify and contain a data breach is 280 days, meaning that yes, you were initially breached. Yes, you paid the payout or whatever was necessary to reverse the harm that was caused. But additionally, it took 280 days to recover. So your employees are struggling, you're struggling. And then that everlasting issue of where your integrity is not there anymore. People don't want to do business with you. It continues just past that 280 days. So when it comes to cybersecurity and why it's important, it protects your sensitive information, prevents it from going on the dark web, it prevents you from prevents financial losses, it maintains your reputation and trust amongst everybody around you, and ensures continuity within the workplace. 280 days with your employees not being able to work right, that's a big issue. And then it also complies with regulatory requirements. A majority of businesses are now they are now governed, they are now regulated through the government, where like even if you're just swiping a pass or a credit card, you need PCI compliance. And if you're not meeting those PCI requirements and you are breached, you are liable for whatever happens next.
Can you repeat that?
So PCI compliance with credit card swipes, if you don't, like personal credit card
Personal
information.
credit card information, okay.
Compliance, meaning that everything needs to be safe. You have to use the right precautionary measures to assure that you're okay. And if you are hacked, you have the way to back it up. So cyber liability insurance is a massive, important thing needed for PCI compliance. But when you get cyber liability insurance, you need to have these right security measures in place to actually retrieve or receive that cyber liability insurances. Most companies have like riders on their insurance saying, yes, you are covered, but there's not full in-depth cyber liability insurance on that insurance policy. So you might have a rider, but it's very important to actually look into your insurance company and say, hey, can I get cyber liability insurance? Can you help me out?
Yeah, it's becoming more and more prevalent because they'll do endorsements under a package policy, which is where you buy your general liability. So it's similar to that. So they'll give you an endorsement up to $100,000 per se, but it's really slimmed down coverage. The ones that they give you for a couple $100. The ones that Christina's talking about is more specific. And the one thing that's excluded typically is social engineering, which is like cyber deception. So phishing attacks, you click a bad link. What I was talking about before, you send, you get a vendor that says, oh, we changed our account number, please send it here. If that was a mistake by you, typically that's not covered under a regular like endorsement fee. So when she was talking about these monoline, individualized cyber policies, that's, that's much more tailored coverage for you. And one of the big things that you need to do, not to jump through her presentation, but multi-factor authentication. That's another thing that most companies won't even offer it now. Multi-factor. So like with your bank account, if you were to sign in,
I
like
will definitely go in depth about MFA and
sorry, I'm jumping ahead in her stuff.
Totally fine. So kind of what Tyler is saying was like these precautionary measures. 95% of breaches are caused by human error.
Behavior.
Exactly. So you're clicking on a malicious link, you're saving your credentials in a Word document, and that's happened multiple times. You're not enabling MFA. These will cause your insurance company to say, hey, it's a red flag that you weren't doing you didn't implement the proper tools to make sure that you guys are prevented from a breach, basically.
So even with firewalls, you're saying we're not covered?
Firewalls, if you, like you personally, I know you're the main manager there. If you don't have 2FA or MFA on there, if you're not.
I'm sorry, these acronyms I don't understand.
Oh, yeah, no worries. We're gonna go into it in depth.
MFA and, multi-factor.
Multi-factor authentication and 2FA,
It's two-factor authentication.
two-factor authentication. And then you also asked about firewalls. Firewalls are the main, they're policemen of your network or infrastructure. They tell people when you can come through and when you can't. So a majority of your firewalls that you have home or in your network, they will block things from coming through, but it won't block everything because cyber criminals are getting more and more smart to where they can bypass the firewall. So there's other measures that you have to put in place, basically like spam filtering, multi-factor authentication.
Which is what?
Spam, I'm gonna go through all these,
Yeah.
so I apologize, I'm kind of skipping ahead. But we can definitely do a Q&A afterwards. If you do have more questions, or if you just need to ask a question, raise your hand. So according to the FBI, what is the most effective cybercrime?
Is it ransomware?
It's human error. What about human error?
The
Oh.
10?
The phishing.
Phishing, there we go. So what is phishing? It's when attackers send malicious emails, text, phone calls designed to trick people into falling for a scam. The intent is to often get users to reveal financial information, system credentials, or sensitive data.
We get
So-
those all the time.
Oh yeah, nonstop, whether it's your personal or business, they're hacking you. They want your identity theft. They want to get your money. They want to get all your systems just so they can get the good stuff from you.
And like Christina was saying, it's getting a lot better than the Nigerian prince emails that we used to get, 20 years ago, right?
So, I mean, to bring me on to my next point, a personal story. I was in college at the time and I never spoke to my grandpa. I spoke to my grandma and we had kind of a phone tag system between, but I never spoke to my grandpa. I was in my sophomore year. I got a call from my grandpa. I'm like, hey, grandpa, what's going on? He's like, are you okay? I said, yeah, grandpa, what's going on? He's like, are you okay? My grandpa's older. He actually just passed. He was 92 years old. It's all good. It was his time. But he's like, are you okay? And I said, yes, grandpa. He's like, I just got a call saying that you were in the hospital and they needed money immediately. So they're getting trickier and trickier. They're calling, they're texting, they're emailing, but they're hitting the older generations because they don't think of this. They get a call saying your granddaughter's in the hospital. That's scary. They're hitting those emotions. They're getting those tellers saying, hey, I'm trying to attack you, but you don't know I'm attacking you because your granddaughter's in trouble. So when it comes to preventing cyber attacks, you learn to identify, you do your homework, and I'll go more in depth about that later. And then you also train your spam filters, and also using an antivirus is very important. So here are some massive tellers that you're being phished. For emails, you're getting messages that are sent from a public domain at gmail.com, at outlook.com, at Hotmail. Hotmail is a big one right now. I don't know why. But if you're getting like a sense of urgency through that email and it's on a public domain, the likelihood of it being legitimate is very slim. Often you also see the domain name is misspelled or there's a weird number associated with it. For example, like you'll get an email from your bank account and it says Bank of America, right? At bankofamerica.com. Instead of it saying Bank of America, it's Bank of American. So they try to get you by having a misspelled domain name that looks legitimate, but it's not. So it's always important if you look, yes?
Yeah, I've actually also seen instances within our own industry where people have gotten an email and the email looks right. One letter is using a different font.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna, when you glance at it and you look at it, you're like, oh, that's a valid email. And it's really not. So, I mean, they're getting very crafty.
They're very, very crafty. And it's important when you look at any email, whether you think it's legitimate or not, you got to actually investigate. And that's kind of what I mean by doing your homework. Another teller is that the message is poorly written and the person doesn't communicate well. A lot of these hackers are from out of the United States. The English isn't their first language. So Russia, China, India, all these emails might be coming from them. So when it comes to the actual email itself, it sounds okay, but it's a little weird. It's sketchy. It doesn't sound right. Yeah, exactly. And then it includes.
But artificial intelligence should be improving that.
That's what I was about to know.
Okay.
Yeah, artificial intelligence is a sneaky guy.
I mean, we're using it for homework and stuff like that. Why not them using it for messages?
Right.
And it's faster too. I mean, they're purchasing the coding behind it just to make more money off of it in the long run. It's crazy. And I'm scared for our future in a way from the cyber liability or the cyber security realm. The emails also include suspicious attachments or links. So our company actually has a kind of like a spam filter to negate all the bad emails out of there. And it only allows PDFs. So if you're getting an Excel sheet or if you're getting a Word document, it doesn't sound legitimate. PDFs are the safest form to open. Unfortunately, nowadays people are selling Excel. Yes. It's just like a screenshotted version of the document. So if you have an
document,
pardon?
portable document file. Portable document file.
But it's basically a screenshot of whatever is coming out of the email. So if there is like an Excel sheet, it's going to be a screenshot saying this is what it looks like. If you want to open it, go to the site and we'll scan it for malicious hardware, malicious links or whatnot.
They can embed stuff within that.
Exactly. So PDFs are the smartest form to send stuff through. But if you do receive an attachment and it has .exe, just don't open it because that's very malicious. That's where most of the coding, or if someone clicks on it, your infrastructure and be completely hacked.
By clicking into that, you're giving them access to create a command prompt, right?
Basically.
It's an executable.
Executable file, right?
Mhm. And then the message creates a sense of urgency, just like what I said about my grandpa. Are you okay? Someone telling me you're in the hospital after a bad accident. Like, it creates that sense of urgency. You know those info commercials where it says buy now and you can get 50% off? It's kind of like that, but in a scarier version.
Yeah, I've seen, yeah.
Yeah, we continue to get the same email from different people. It's exactly what you're saying on every single point. It's a person who's tells the story of he's on a ship and it's his special birthday and he's coming home on a particular day and he wants me to set up a dinner for his family, set up with a comedian and a band. And, the Tap House doesn't really allow bands and we don't have, a lot of extra entertainment come in or anything. So I always write back, so sorry, we cannot accommodate. And it's always back to, and to your point, it's a little T, a little I, and a big, it's all craziness. And so I just ignore it because it's at a point now where they're all the same content, but coming from a different person.
Just different email address that they're trying to get through. If you
They're
block
trying to
one,
get
they're gonna
through.
make another
They're
one.
trying to get
It's free to
through.
read an email. So they can do it.
Why can't you do this for me?
For those types of emails, I just don't respond to them because they're gonna continuously annoy you. We
They
have.
see you're responding, right? They see that you're saying like, no, thank you, right?
Person on the other end.
Exactly.
The sixth one, we just ignore them.
Yeah.
And everybody in the office knows.
I have another situation. So, my dad works for a nonprofit that employs over 3,000 people, within the Northeast. And his CEO has an executive assistant. So the executive assistant one day gets an urgent email, right? So creates sense of urgency that says, I'm in a meeting right now. So it's saying it's coming from her boss. I'm in a meeting right now. I'm with a client. We desperately need to get these gift cards. And which has been a huge thing that's been going on forever. I need to get these gift cards. Please email me the codes so you can redeem them. It's also less trackable, for the criminals in that position. So I remember him telling me the story, and this was probably 5 years ago, of him walking through the hallway and executive assistant has the bags, like really frantic, walking through. And he's like, oh, well, what's going on? It's like, oh, well, Angela just needs these gift cards. I mean, like she says, it's really urgent. I need them. So she went to the store and bought $500 for gift cards and was about to go back to her computer and type them in. And luckily caught it before it happened, but it happens all the time. And, the sense of urgency, communicate well, those are all key tells.
Yeah, and absolutely. And also for like the gift card situation, they'll call you too. And I don't know how, but they can sound like your boss sometimes. And it's scary. I don't know how that happens, but
Did you see this morning's front page, minute later?
I didn't.
No,
It was the front page. It was the AI software is so good. All they need is a couple of minutes of video sound and they can mimic your granddaughter, your grandson, your boss, your whatever. And they can also mimic, like if you do a FaceTime, they can mimic the,
yes, I've seen that on.
yes.
what is it,
It's
America's Got
definitely
Talent.
happening. And then there's
Pretty
also a
focused on-
delay in the speech. So to note of, I do my weekly micro trainings and they're actually trying to update us on the AI features and a lot of the videos. Yes, they can get your facial and like voice recognition, but there are tellers to an AI video. It's not as, you have to look at the mouth, I guess. And I mean, what's the likelihood of your granddaughter sending you a video or your mom sending you a video about how, this is happening, I need help right now kind of type thing. But there are tellers about, the AI, and I could note them here. I didn't have the time to do so. For homework, always verify, never trust. Currently, trust is installed on my computer. It's called Threat Locker. You have to utilize it through an outsourced company or an MSP, unfortunately. But it never trusts. So if you put a USB in your car, in your computer, we just say, don't do it. Always do your homework. Hey, this might have been mine, but I don't think it's correct. So I'm just going to toss it away. When you get an email from your bank saying you have to pay your bill or else you're going to be in real big trouble, The employee is not going to say, oh, that's not right. You have to do it right then and there. They're gonna be like, okay, I trust you. You're gonna call me back eventually. That's totally fine. Your employees, the employee of that company is never getting mad. So you always have to verify, never trust. And again, never give your information unless you know it's actually coming from the source. So training your inbox filter or whatever, I can show you how to do that if you'd like at the end of this presentation, but you can mark emails, text as spam, and that trains your spam filter to no longer use it in the future. You also have the opportunity to block the sender or domains. Domains are like the @gmail.com, at Google. I don't suggest blocking gmail.com because you do get a lot of emails from gmail.com from the average person. But you know, if you're getting Bank of American, go ahead and block that, and it'll train your spam filter not to, you know, allow this in the future, so you don't have any urgency to emails or the urge to even click on a link within that email. And the last thing is using an antivirus. So it's a basic and necessary security measure that anyone should use, whether you're your average end user or the entirety of, you know, a business. An antivirus is very important because it's the basic one for a device or computer. So my company uses Weare. I personally use Bitdefender because it's a little bit more useful for the average end user. And then there's also Norton, Microsoft Defender, and McAfee. They all work. I just suggest these 5 because it hits all the check marks that we look for in an MSP or a managed service provider. The next thing that I'm going to discuss is password security. So I know this is going to be a little weird, but this is our password report card. So if you have, for example, all numbers or lowercase characters fewer than 8 characters, example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or Sparky, your passable is crackable in seconds. And you can go continuously through this list, and then we're going to go to Kaspersky and see, like, not your personal passwords, but you know, random words and how crackable they are in seconds or not. So if you have a combination of numbers and lowercase letters with 8 or fewer characters, for example, NHL 2001, it's slightly better, but it's still hackable. It's usually in seconds. And then a combination of number, uppercase and lowercase letters with 8 or few characters, example, hot dog 1 or Patriots 1. It's the most common type of passwords used because they're easy to remember. But instead of it being seconds, it's like a minute to crack instead. So it's like a brute force. It's a brute force passable, a brute forceable. I can't speak. These are brute forceable passwords that can be caught in minutes rather than seconds. So longer passwords and phrases like Happy Bunny, trust me, not only are they harder to crack, but it's easy to remember. So if you're at the Hooksett library and you have a password here, you know, the Hooksett library school is probably a better password than saying Hooksett library guest. And again, a long password with phrases of a stop in between. So Happy Bunny, trust me, is not Happy Bunny, it's Happy Bun, a percentage sign with a 63 after that. So it's about the best you can do without needing a password manager. And I can explain what a password manager is after we do the Kaspersky. So you can go to any like password checker, but this is Kaspersky. It's one of the notable sites here. So if you give me an example of a word, sorry, that's my password keeper right there. So let's do doggy 1. The password change is long overdue. It's too short. It appears that many times on the internet and it's crackable within seconds.
So what does that mean? So it says it appears 45,000 times in a database of leaked
So
passwords.
if people use that passwords, that's the amount of times that it's been cracked.
Okay, where's the number you're seeing, Tyler?
It's in the red box.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Password appeared 44,000 times.
So this website, and I'm sure plenty of other password checkers probably have a database of leaked passwords that they have access to, right?
Yep, and it basically says, so a crack or a cyber criminal will sit there with an AI thing and have them fill out passwords constantly on computers, constantly checking. And they don't have to do anything. They just literally press a button and let it run. And it's going to try to guess your password. So when you have a better password that's non-guessable, like a phrase, something that you understand with like an exclamation point, a dollar sign, an @ sign within it, it's harder to crack because it's longer. There's many variations of it. So when you do have a password, it has to be bigger than 12 characters, in my opinion, a phrase with a special character in between it. So we can do,
Try chamber password, but instead of the A, do an @ symbol, and then the S's should be a dollar sign or something.
That and I think you've seen on Facebook recently, and quite honestly, it's a lot. People ask for your favorite color and they ask for what's your favorite this
All
and
the
what's your favorite
quizzes.
that. and
Oh, those quizzes, right?
all those
Yeah.
Quizzes, and people are taking it hook, line and sinker to fill it out because then they know that that's probably part of their password.
exactly.
And so, wow, you know,
In addition to
there.
that, for like multi-factor
nice
authentication.
password. Okay, there you go.
So something similar like that you could remember, but it also has special symbols in there. It's harder to crack. And it says your password does not appear in any database of the passwords. So
But
it's
even typing that into that app or that website, isn't that creating more opportunity for somebody to hack that?
there's a possibility, but Casper Key, it's not all, you're not submitting it. It's just kind of reading it and, putting it against.
So
their
they're not
database.
saving it anywhere.
They're not saving it, exactly. In addition, Casper Key is a very notable site, a notable business that MSPs do work with. So we understand that they're not doing this in any like malicious kind of type thing.
So can anyone go to this site? and check
Absolutely.
out a password?
It's just that.com,
It's Casper Key, the password.casperkey.com.
password dot.
Yeah,
It's
KASPERSKY.com.
right here.
I think I'll do an overhaul at the restaurant.
Now, I saw that there's something new that, I don't know if it's Google that's doing it or, but they're moving away from passwords to pass keys. Are those any safer?
What's the
Not
difference?
necessarily, because they're usually just like 4 numbers. So I would suggest a password over anything.
I mean, like, just you saying a 4-digit number instead of password?
There's
Is it a
there's been in the
rotating number,
news
right?
recently that websites are moving away from passwords and moving toward pass keys. Because they're saying that it's safer, but
I wouldn't necessarily trust that quite yet unless there's like research behind it, but our company is definitely not moving towards that direction. So again, use a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers and symbols, at least 12 characters, and avoid using personal information. So Sparky was my old dog, and that's why I put Sparky up there. I would never use that as a password because that is my dog. And it is one of those questions that you do answer on Facebook. What was your oldest dog, or something around the lines of that? I use a passphrase instead of a single word. And I say this because it's easier to remember and it's also long. Change your passwords regularly. We say every 3 months you should change your password. I know that's really annoying and I know it sucks because you got to remember more passwords, but the more frequently you change it, the better you are, the better off you are about getting like attacked basically. And then consider using a password manager. Currently our company is using something called KeyPass. We're in the marriage of changing to Keeper. And that's because it hits all the compliance, with the government kind of type thing. Keeper actually changes your password for you every 3 months. And the password manager, actually, you just need to know one password that you're going to change every 3 months. And it has an entire encrypted folder of your passwords. So nobody who's hacking your device can see all your passwords.
and what do you do when those password managers get hacked?
They don't. I mean, they have such great systems, but
LastPass was hacked
LastPass
more
was
than
hacked?
once.
Yeah, which is the most famous
Which was that?
one,
LastPass.
LastPass. Yeah, I have a buddy that works there, and that was,
Last,
yeah, so it's a password
It's
manager, and what a
password.
password manager does is it aggregates like all of
It can
your,
generate a password for you.
right, and it's got all of your passwords saved into one, right? So you log into your LastPass, And then you pull that up and then there's all of your different logins that you have.
I thought you
in
said
there.
class pass, and that's where my daughter works.
No.
She works for class.
Oh, that's
Class
funny.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So for example, I'll just log into one of my accounts here.
And you're saying don't keep the passwords on the desktop
Absolutely not.
in a
So
Word or Excel document?
we had a company that was hacked, and that's why they ended up getting our services, but so they, I apologize, I'm already logged in. They decided to store all of their passwords on a Word document in their computer. And someone got onto their computer unknowingly, they clicked something in an email and they had all their passwords stolen, especially their bank account. It was a small business at the time and they stole 200K from them. So it's very important not to store it on the computer because if you are hacked, it's an easy way for people to find your information because your information is literally on a Word document. That's one of the, I don't want to call anybody out, but it's a very silly move to make. So KeyPass is free. If you are the individual user, KeyPass is the marketing's horrible, but that's how you know their system's good because they do very good with their systems. There is a paid for version. My company currently uses Keeper. It changes your passwords for you. And then there's Bitwarden. I honestly didn't realize LastPass got hacked, but they're still a reputable company. And then there's Bitwarden and 1Password. A lot of people tend to store their passwords and, credit cards in Google. That's still a no-go. All the internet-based, like Google or what's the other one? Edge, Microsoft Edge, just don't store your passwords there because they are crackable at that point. It's on the internet. Anybody can see stuff on the internet. So
Dashlane is another one.
Pardon?
Dashlane was another one that I was looking at.
Yeah, these all hit the check marks that we look for in a like I said, for the antivirus, but this is for what we use as an MSP or what we suggest, but we use KeyPass and Keeper. So that's what we put on all of our clients' desktops and personal computers if they want that as well. So again, I'll make sure of at least 12 characters. The more characters, the better. I'll make sure of uppercase and lowercase. I'll make sure of letters and numbers and the inclusion of one special character. For the insert ones, don't put those in your password because it could ruin the website or the web browsers. So the @ symbol, exclamation point, number symbol, question mark. So multi-factor authentication. The definition of multi-factor authentication is rather than just asking for a username and password, MFA requires more than one additional factors, which decreases the likelihood of a successful cyber attack. This is important because when that's verifying that the person who's signing on is actually that person. So there's 3 different types of multi-factor authentication. One is knowledge, one is possession, and one is inherence. So knowledge is something that you know. What is your mother's maiden name? What elementary school did you go to? What was your first vehicle? There's possession, which is something you own. So your email address, when it says, hey, can you verify the numbers that was sent to your email address, or your authenticator app on your phone, or a text message. So that's possession. And you notice a lot of the companies, like your bank account, anything that you log into is going to ask to verify. Even your Facebook account is going to ask you to verify by either logging into your email and verifying the numbers that were sent, or to your phone with authenticator app. The other thing is inherent, which is something you are. So it's either your password for your thumbprint, like your iPhone is looking at your phone to log you in, or your thumbprint to sign in somewhere. And like the movies where they scan your eyeballs, that's an inherent. I don't know if they actually.
Face ID.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Face
for the
ID.
iPhone. Yeah.
So I know it's annoying. I get really annoyed with it too, because if I'm in a rush, it's like, well, I got to get out my phone and I got to put this in. And but I highly encourage anybody to use it because it does verify who you are. A lot of companies are now going away from the knowledge because of the questions they ask on Facebook. Like someone that you're speaking to can ask these questions and then write them down later. So they're moving more towards possession and inherence. I don't know if that's ever going to change with possession, but people are leaning more towards that possession and inherence. I think iPhone and the phones are on top of their game with the face recognition because No one can crack into those.
It takes 2 more times, right? So if someone has your passwords to get in, but they don't have your phone, then they're not gonna be able to actually access your account. So it's.
Because you're gonna get the message.
You're gonna get the
and say,
message.
Hey, why am I getting this?
Exactly, you're gonna say, that's not me trying to sign in, you know, who is it? So they would need 2 pieces of information, physical, like your actual phone. Or they would need your password towards your email and your, you know, whatever they're trying to hack into. So it's becoming a standard, to buy insurance for this. If you don't have it, they're not gonna give you anything more than the base level of coverage.
And it's also important to have, because like Tyler said, if someone's logging into your account and you get that notification, hey, someone's logging into your account, it's a big teller that you need to go change your password,
Mhm.
just then and there.
I get
Right.
these emails on my personal account.
Mhm.
Somebody from Russia tried accessing your account. And I'm
That's
like,
happening.
oh, no, I don't think so.
Yeah. Gotta go change that. It's very important that you utilize the MFA. I know it's really annoying, and I know a lot of people complain to me about it, but it's very important to have, just to keep your personal and business data safe.
And I'm gonna suggest too, it's wise to have a different password for your bank accounts than it
Yes,
is for
than everything
everything else.
And it is very annoying because you gotta remember these, but that's why a password manager is very important. And like I said, you can download a KeyPass onto your computer. It also goes onto your phone as well. But it will create those passwords for you. So it takes the human hour out of creating passwords for you. So it's just like random numbers, letters, characters, and you could put that as your password and it'll regenerate if you need to regenerate a password.
Yeah, because I think I've got mine set to do 16 characters.
Yes,
And I'm like, I'm never gonna remember this stuff. So I have to have the password manager to
exactly. It
remember.
takes the
all.
human error out of it.
But how does it execute if you're trying to get into a Home Depot account?
It remembers it.
So
Like if
this
you,
is,
I will usually go to the actual website
so this is.
and it'll
KeyPass.
actually remember it and it'll pull it in.
This is KeyPass. When you decide that you wanted to log into a certain thing, it creates a password for you right here. It holds your username and you put a name to it, and then it also puts the website to bring you to that website immediately. So I can show you right now, actually.
If it's part of your program here, yes, please, but otherwise I can go out and do it.
Yeah, no worries. I'm not in BNI anymore, but I can show you how BNI would work. It would successfully log me in. So I'll click on username and then I'll go back to KeyPass. And then do Control-V and it'll fill it out for me. But Keeper is blocking me because I have 2 passes right now. Like I said, we're on the way to transfer, so I can actually fill in the record here for Keeper. It'll have my password. Like I said, I'm not in BNI anymore, so it might not be able to send me in. But that's just kind of an explanation of how it works.
So you have to go back into the program to pull the password in.
No, you don't necessarily.
Because I know in LastPass, like if I just go, say, to my Facebook account, and it'll bring it up,
So let me log out.
LastPass will automatically fill in that stuff for me when I open up the website.
So KeyPass is the free version, and then I have also Keeper right here. So if I go right here, Keeper has this little button, it'll fill it in for me. So I'll fill record,
Okay.
and it automatically puts it in there. It takes the human error out of it. I don't even know the password for it.
Okay, I'll look into that.
So there's always some sort of security, right? So if you're keeping, I'm interested in your opinion on people that keep physical passwords on a written document too. But if someone was able to access your laptop and they had your password to log in, then they'd be able to access, you know, your passwords through there. So there's no 100% foolproof way, right? There's a lot of different controls that you can do, but there's not like.
It
As you
doesn't
would-
guarantee 100% that you won't get hacked.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's just precautionary tools that you would get to make yourself safer. There, like you said, there is no full bulletproof way of executing all of these, but these are the ways to keep you safer in the long run, whether it's your personal or business data.
We're at the level of a locked Excel spreadsheet with all the passwords, which is password protected. So there's only 3 people in the building that have that password.
But you all share that password, right?
No, just 3 people, just Dan,
You-
Val, and myself have the password
All 3 of you
To get
share
into
that
that.
password though.
thing. But all the passwords that people need for the TVs and the things that we don't care about is on a laminated document we have in the office. So every other manager gets to see that sheet and they can function the whole building with, with all those passwords.
But only ownership and you are the ones
Right
that are,
now, the three of us have the password to get into the passwords file, which is where all their bank accounts are, which is where the hackers would want to go. The
Exactly.
hackers
So,
care less about the phone system.
right?
Or how to turn the TV on.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, in a way, if you're on a public or private Wi-Fi, if you're on a public Wi-Fi, I mean, people, I'll talk about it later too, but if you are entering like a business Wi-Fi, they have the ability to actually crack your infrastructure. So I can explain a little bit more later, but like I said, nothing is bulletproof. KeyPass is just a little safer, or Keeper, or OneNote, sorry.
1Password.
1Pass, yes. But these are a little bit safer, they're encrypted, and the likelihood of your password going out there is none compared to the human error.
Right.
Yeah, we've recently just added 2 bartender managers, whatever, gave them laptops and they've been going home and it's been a nightmare.
Uh-oh.
Because they want to be VPN'd in and I'm like, even though we own the laptop, just come in and do your work. You don't need.
There is ways to get around there, and you set up your firewall anyway. I can explain later.
No,
when we
that's
get off
okay.
the conversation.
No, we have a company that does all that.
Yeah, good for you. Okay,
Yes,
good.
Yeah.
It's
It's just, I don't want them to have VPN access. Because every time they seem to use it, it wrecks something else.
there's something called an SSL VPN, which certifies your network in a way, so you have to log in a certain way. So it doesn't give them access to everything, but certain documents, and they can basically log in like they're there, but in a safer way, which meaning you would have to get an SSL license through your internet service provider. I can go on a little bit.
No, I understand. No, we passed on that.
You pass on it, okay,
Yeah,
no worries, but there
pass
are options for you. If you talk to your IT manager or whatnot, they can explain a little bit. I hope they can. If not, just give us a call and we can help you out.
Sure.
And then the other one is keeping your hardware and software up to date. I know the updates are very annoying, but they're very important because there are holes in the softwares and hardwares that you use that they're constantly updating to prevent it. It's basically like there's a hole in your wall and someone's coming in to cover it up. So it doesn't break down kind of type thing. So they're very important. They are annoying, but they're only like 3 minutes or so. And I could show you how to check for updates on your computers. There's usually a little dot in the bottom right hand of your computer, or on your, I don't have a Droid, but I do have an iPhone. Those automatic updates that happen, I just say push them through immediately because they are creating new ways to block the cyber criminals from getting into your computer or phone. Same thing for hardware. If your computer is going past 6 years old, it's more of a security issue rather than, it's old, it's running slow. It's an issue because they have things in the systems that can't grab the software updates because it's too old. For example, when there's Microsoft 7 computers, we immediately take them out of our infrastructure because they cannot withstand the software updates, the hardware updates. So it's very important to keep your software and hardware up to date.
Well, they're talking about that with Windows 10 now. I think by next year, they're gonna stop updating Windows 10, so you're gonna have
2025,
no choice but to go with Windows
October
11.
2025.
Is it 2025?
October 2025.
Yeah, so they are selling now, now they're at 12, which is crazy.
Oh,
So I know it just happened.
10 was supposed to be the last, they said.
No, it's gonna keep growing.
It's funny, right? They just keep making a new one every year.
They weren't
They're
gonna
trying to be sneaky about it, just making you buy more
Right.
hardware. So it's important because it can also improve your device's performance, security, capability with the new softwares and devices. Updates often include bug fixes, new features, and improved functionality, which can also enhance your overall user experience. Additionally, keeping your device up to date can help you protect you from security vulnerabilities and potential cyber threats. So, I mean, I could show you how to do or check for updates later if you would like, but I'll wait until the
In
end.
the case of a phone, how do you know when the updates come through that they're for apps that are absolutely necessary to have? on your phone?
I wouldn't say
Because like
necessarily.
Google and Samsung push through a lot of apps and it's like, oh, I don't even know what that is.
I would just allow the automatic update unless you think it's not something necessary for your phone. If it's something that you like a game, we have people who download games onto their laptop all the time. I don't suggest updating them on your, work laptop, maybe your personal laptop where you don't use, like your bank account or whatnot. I wouldn't necessarily have those on yours because they are hackable. It's really not a bulletproof infrastructure at that point.
Right, so if the game gets compromised,
You're
then,
compromised in the long run.
right,
And the other thing that I think people should look out for is if websites have the SSL certificates.
The HTTPS instead of the
Right.
HTTP.
Well, in the SSL certificates, I think goes a little, I think it's probably adding the S onto the HTTP.
the lock, right? in the
Yeah, the
URL.
Mhm.
Although they're saying that they're saying that that's not
It's
necessary.
better. It's a good practice to do. So when you're looking in the search bar for a certain, like if you're putting your credit card information and it doesn't have that lock on the top, it's not, a good site for you to use. Most of the antiviruses that you do have on your computer will say, hey, this is a red zone. Don't put your information here. I wouldn't even suggest going on here. But the HTTPS is very important, especially if you're putting credentials into something. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is avoiding public Wi-Fi. I know it's very eager to trust the public Wi-Fi, whether you're at a coffee shop or some reputable,
Home Depot.
Home Depot,
What do
exactly.
you mean, like the airport?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't go on to those unless you have a virtual private network, which is also VPN. So the company that I use for my personal laptop, I use Bitdefender, has 12 different user licenses. So I can pass those along to me, my husband, my phone, his phone. And as soon as you're attached to a public network, it'll put you in through a VPN. So Bitdefender is really cool in that sense. But when you are on public Wi-Fi, you either make sure you're attached to a VPN or just don't attach to the Wi-Fi at all. If you are in a public space and you need internet, I would just suggest using a hotspot on your computer, on your cell phone. I mean, everybody has them nowadays, and that's encrypted. Using a public Wi-Fi can expose your device and personal information to security risks such as hacking, malware, and identity theft. And it's safer to use that VPN or cellular data to protect your privacy and security. So if you're in a coffee shop and the gentleman is right next to you, like he seems normal, no issues whatsoever, whatever you're looking on that network, if he can actually see what you're doing. So if he decides to hack the entire infrastructure, which my company can actually do that, like I have engineers that are capable of doing that, they would never because they're not that kind of person, but they're capable of doing it within seconds. So I just suggest not going onto the internet whatsoever when you're at a public place. Use a virtual private network or use your hotspot on your phone.
Okay, so may I ask, we have several people with company phones. And it's kind of my responsibility to make sure that they follow policy or rules. And it's probably my responsibility to create those rules. And so you just brought something up that I hadn't even thought of. And that is people with company phones. I need to give them an access or a workaround instead of going on a Wi-Fi like that.
Exactly.
So it would be a hotspot on the phone, which is an additional charge for the monthly
So
user.
a
I
hotspot
don't have
on
a
your
hotspot
phone.
on my phone because this is my personal phone.
Yeah, if you have an iPhone, you have a hotspot. So a hotspot is created from your cell phone. It uses cellular from the internet that you're getting from your cellular company, whether it be Verizon, T-Mobile.
Oh,
They
it
have-
used to be that we had to add the hotspot on.
No,
Yeah, see
it's
that in
already
my phone?
connected.
I go to mobile hotspot, either an Android.
Yeah, so you do have a mobile hotspot. So right now I'm connected to it because my company cannot use a Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi on my own personal device. So I use a hotspot on my phone to create like a network that's just for myself. It's password protected. No one else can join onto that. I can
Right.
show you how to do it afterwards for your
Yeah.
cell phone.
Okay,
As for your company phones, I would suggest getting something like Bitdefender, so when it does connect to a guest Wi-Fi, it puts you through to a VPN automatically, so the virtual private network. So I have the personal one for Bitdefender on my phone.
but you're saying that, okay, I'm so sorry.
No, you're
Take
fine.
a step back. Years ago, I remember having to add it to our plan to have your own personal hotspot
Mhm.
on the phone. And then I recently got this, I don't know if it's an 11 or 12 or something. And so the 5G is on there. So I know I'm automatically on Wi-Fi myself,
Yes.
but I never considered that to be hotspot. I always
So
considered it.
you're
through
on
my
your
phone.
cellular data right now, which is the 5G.
Yeah.
Cellular data is what you pay for. I have them limited on my phone. I'm assuming you do too. But you can set up, so like a bubble, you could set up a hotspot. So if you want to use your computer on Wi-Fi, it sets up a bubble.
Oh,
So
okay, I
where
get you now. I
yeah.
get you now. But right now, I don't have to tell people who have the company phones because they already have the Wi-Fi through their phone. What I have
They
to tell them is
should.
just don't use public Wi-Fi.
Yes,
That's what
don't
I
use
have to do.
public Wi-Fi,
I
and
gotcha.
there's policies and procedures that you could put forth, there's templates that you can find on the internet saying that you have to sign this if you're using a company device. And if you do move past it, that's at fault of your own. That's a means of firing kind of type thing. Or like, hey, you can't go on Facebook, you can't go on social media, you can't go onto your bank account via this device. Just certain things like that. You could set up policies and procedures and have your company, whoever have devices, sign that piece of paper, just so you have a paper trail moving forward. Additionally, like I said, if you have your phone, maybe you can talk to your internet service provider or your phone's provider or whoever you use for MSP, a managed service provider, how they can protect themselves through a virtual private network when they utilize their phone. So for example, I came into the public Wi-Fi or to the library and the public Wi-Fi pops up. My device automatically connects just because iPhone wants to make life easier for you. But with using Bitdefender on my phone, as soon as I hooked on to the public Wi-Fi, it put me through a VPN. So no one can see what I'm doing on my end.
You're taking the behavior out of it, right? So for Nancy's situation is like, if you put that on all of the company phones, then it takes the 95% of where these mistakes are happening out of it by, you know,
you're
by putting
controlling the
controls in it,
situation.
right, before it ever happens. So you don't even
Yeah.
need to tell them, you're just saying, hey, this is what we're putting on your phone.
And the
it'll do it
majority
for
of them with laptops, are working with them like at the barn, or they're working with them in the farm, or they're at the restaurant, so it's not a matter of, then they're at home when they're using it, it's not, they're not gonna pull those laptops out and work at another restaurant, oh, they just don't, it's not their
Starbucks, right?
culture. They just don't, they don't work after hours.
Another thing to bring into point, I mean, if you're in a business setting, so a lot of our infrastructures that we go into our clients, they tend to have one Wi-Fi. And their business and guest night Wi-Fi are literally the same thing.
Oh.
So when you go into a business and they don't have that, like, that divider where it's business, where it's encrypted, and then there's guest. The guests have the ability to look at everything else on the network, whether it be your first, it would be the business data. So it's very important, and you can actually look into that if you have an MSP to set up a guest network and a business network as well.
Yeah.
Great point.
Mhm.
Great point.
We did get a question online here.
Sure.
No, we're good.
Okay. So in conclusion, look for phishing scams, always be hyper aware, always verify, never trust. A zero trust system is the way to go. Because if you're not verifying where these things are going through, I mean, you can get hacked immediately. You always have to verify, look at the legitimacy. If it's not there, verify with the company that you're speaking with or call whoever you're on the phone with. Like I said, an employee from another company is not going to get mad at you for verifying. They're actually going to probably be like, all right, that's good of you to actually verify. So if they do
I've
get
actually
mad,
had emails come through from, they were fake, from government agencies.
oh yeah.
And I actually called the government agency and said, did so-and-so try to contact me about this particular item? And they were like, no, and then all of a sudden I'm getting, emails from the Department of Justice saying, would you be willing to help us, set them up? Like, oh,
Wow.
I don't know if I wanna.
You're part of a sting operation.
Yeah, let me think about that one.
Thank you.
Just take them out, okay?
Another thing is to change up your passwords every 3 months. And then if you don't want to do that, you don't want to think about it, use a password manager. It's going to make life so much easier. Enable MFA on all accounts that you do have. I know it's annoying. I know it. I do it. I hate it. I hate it personally, but it's important for your safety and security. Updates are completely necessary. They're annoying, like I said, but it takes 3 minutes for it to happen. It'll reboot and then you can open your systems again. And then you won't have to do it for a little bit longer. And then avoid public Wi-Fi at all times. Like I said, do a hotspot or a virtual private network. And that'll just help you overall when you're working in the public. So I know a lot of companies tend to send their workers out to different facilities. They tend to have a virtual hotspot on their phone so they can attach their computer to it, just so they take the error out of human error kind of type thing. But thank you for your time. I really appreciate you. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I like to give information, so. Thank you.
I know we asked a million questions during the middle of your presentation, so thank you so much for going with us. We're very obviously interested in the topic because it's ever changing. Did anyone else have any additional questions? I know we were spitting them out as they came, which is typically how I talk anyway.
Does your company have a maintenance agreement or in-house computers or not?
So we don't necessarily do break fix, but we do we manage clients. So on
I'm sorry, what's break fix?
a break fix basis, so hey, my computer broke, can you help fix it for me? We manage companies, and if their computer breaks, we'll fix them for them, but we don't necessarily do it on that break fix basis, meaning that it's
Grandma, home computer breaks, she can't bring it in.
no, because we do work with businesses, unfortunately, we're a B2B company, but we can refer you to people who are trustworthy and that we work with and that we refer people out to. But if you do own a business, we're more than happy to help out or even just kind of do a audit of your systems. We have something called the Galactic Scan where you click a link. It basically acts as like someone's penetrating your network. What can they find if you click on a malicious link? And we'll actually give you that information. Unfortunately, it's only for MSPs or managed service providers to outsource to their clients. But if you are interested in utilizing one, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I could set you up with one. More than happy to help.
Okay.
What do you recommend for a business who works out of their home?
Do you have a work and a personal laptop?
Me personally?
It's all one.
No, it's all one.
So I would definitely make 2 different ones, make a laptop very business oriented. You have the password manager. You're making sure you have all those spam filters set on, your domain name is okay. So one is just for business use and one is for personal use because, there is human error when you're not thinking about business. You're there to have a good time. Maybe you're drinking a little too much wine one night and you're on your personal laptop, but that's also your business laptop. You could click on something by accident. You never know. So that's why it's important to, kind of separate the entities. It's just a personal suggestion. My business would say the same thing too.
Now we have, because we have video, fiber,
Mhm.
internet. And I also have a mesh system
Mhm.
because it's a very old house. So in order for anybody in the back of the apartment to get any kind of internet, we had to install a mesh system. So should we put all personal items on the mesh system?
So we actually do have a client that's a one-off shop and she's a personal accountant and she works in her household. We did split it into where they have a business and then a personal email or a business and personal Wi-Fi because she had kids. They were using the internet all the time. So she didn't want anything that was affecting their network to actually hit her business because she does have to regulate to some compliance with the government. So she decided to differentiate the two, and you can do that. You need a massive setup, not a massive setup, but you have your firewall, a switch would differentiate the two, and then two different Wi-Fi ports. So, I mean, I could talk to you a little bit more about it later if you want some suggestions on how I can help you out. It's very difficult to set these. I wouldn't say difficult, but you also have to manage it after you set up these different networks kind of thing.
Right.
Because if one goes down, the other one goes down, and then you call your IT service provider or whoever you have and say, I don't know what's going on, and they can't help you out. So it is a little hard for you to.
And I know Fidium allows for me to have a regular internet Wi-Fi connection, but it also has guest
Okay,
ability.
so that's a good thing. So if you could put the two different ups, basically a splitter between the two, a business and a personal, that's my suggestion. But it's truly up to you if it's for your personal use or, yeah.
So I got one question. Contact for very small businesses or end users, they suggest a product called Comcast Security Edge. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
$39 a month.
It's just an extra security in addition to your firewall. It's up to you. Our company actually opted out of it because it had ruined our systems, not necessarily ruined our systems. So we have certain tools in place, stuff called like Threat Locker, and AppRiver. They're just tools that we use. And once they implement it into their router firewall system, it screws up our networking because we do managed Wi-Fi. So unfortunately, we just can't utilize it. It might be helpful for you as a personal business owner in your own office or whatnot. But I would definitely speak to whoever your internet, are you a personal or is it more?
It's like a small business. They say, you know, if you're a small business, $39 a month, and we solve all your problems. Yes, and it's like the magic box, the magic box.
Create anymore.
Yeah, it's a magic box.
You know, I haven't necessarily like divulged into the extra security stack that they're added. I mean, extra security isn't a bad thing, but I don't necessarily know what's implemented when I do add that $40 package onto there. I can ask my team.
I mean, I'm just wondering if your customers.
Our
deal with-
facility opted out of them for all of our clients. We have around 45 of them, and everybody doesn't have them because it did make changes to the system where we couldn't navigate through our systems correctly, so we just opted out.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any other questions?
I did like the idea of Best Buy. I just bought a new laptop myself, and it's very limited on what I can put on that laptop.
Wow.
It's only certain products that will go on.
Is that Geek Squad?
I didn't hire Geek Squad. No, the actual computer, the actual laptop only allows, it's either Apple or Google or whatever. It's just one type. Or Microsoft, I'm sorry. Microsoft products I can load onto it.
Wow.
Well,
It
I
will
didn't know
not
that.
let you load anything else. And I said, you know what, that's okay. I have a small business on the side and I don't need anything else.
Right,
I don't
right.
need games. I don't need anything. So it worked out well.
Yeah.
But beware when you go to buy a laptop now. And you want to do games, you have to buy the $1,000 one, not the $500 one.
Well, I'm glad they're doing everything in their power to help try to protect you, so that's a good thing. I mean,
Yeah, with everything going on, you know, AI coming up in every single sentence that you hear in the news and everything, I think this was a great presentation, Christina. We obviously had plenty of questions to ask, so thank you for your help. And thank you all for coming and attending. Hooksett Chamber, like I said, we try to do events all the time. We do networking events, we do educational events, and we do community service events. We're all funded by our member base. So it's a nonprofit, we're all volunteers to help out. And if you know of anybody, if you're interested in joining, please feel free to reach out. Very affordable for our membership. Our next event is actually going to be June 10th. And that's co-hosted with Weare County Savings Bank. And it's going to be the cornhole event that we're going to be doing, our first annual one. So whether you want to play or whether you want to come and just check it out and meet some great Hooksett people, it's at Weare County Savings Bank right at the corner of 28 Bypass and Hooksett Road. But thank you all again for coming. It's been-
Tyler, I think you want others to sign your book here.
Yes, yeah, if anyone
Yeah,
has
did everybody sign in?
signed in, we'd love to
And thank you for the pizza. It was very good.